Master back here on this Monday night, August 21st, 2023. Take number 3. It is about 10:40 p.m. here, California time. We do have some activity ramping up off the coast here of New Zealand, a 4.6 earthquake being reported by the USGS. Also some activity shown up here on the globe. Looks like a 4.5 and potentially a 5.3, or maybe a cluster of earthquake activity out here across the New Zealand area within the last few minutes or so, last half hour, I would say. EMSC is reporting some of this data out here. Let me refresh the latest map here and see if they've updated anything. Got 2 earthquakes off the coast here in an odd area, 4.6 and a 4.5. So I'm not for sure where this 5.3 is coming from. That's there on the earthquake 3D globe, but looks like some activity is stirring up out there right now. The GeoNet servers showing that activity literally within the last, like I said, half hour or so. We did see some previous movement here throughout the last 24 hours, but it looks like something is brewing out here across the New Zealand area. And again, it's just off the coast, quite a few hundreds of miles actually away from the plate boundary. So it's a very rare earthquake out here in this basin. I did look at historical data here, and there's not a whole lot in terms of historical movement out here. It just doesn't happen all that often. Look over here to the history map, and as you can see, we back out a little bit, and you can see most of the movement here across the plate boundary. It's very typical, but as far as earthquake activity out here around the sea region, it just doesn't happen all that often. So New Zealand should definitely be on guard here with this movement that's kicking up here across the area. Again, 4.6 earthquake southeast of Australia. Now, I did just check the Australian site. Let me double check it again, see if they've updated anything far as earthquake activity goes. There was a little earthquake in the what is that? What's going on there? There we go. Hit the wrong one here. A little bit of earthquake activity across the Melbourne area. It looks like a small little earthquake here earlier, a 2.9, but we're not seeing anything being reported out here. Only the GeoNet servers reporting it, and also USGS. So some oddball earthquake activity taking place. Good to have an earthquake plan out there across New Zealand. Definitely out there in a major seismically active area. The Alpine Fault here has some great potential, along with the Hikurangi subduction zone. I think us as humans have been living in a time of very quiet conditions, and a lot of these faults and plate boundaries across the world have been building up strain for quite a while. So watch New Zealand area. Starting over here also after New Zealand in Hawaii, the Big Island is lighting up like crazy as well. 33 earthquakes here in the last 24 hours, most of that within the last couple hours here across the Kilauea volcano. So let's double check, see what we got going on here from the hazard notification system. The HVO, refreshing that, see if they got anything that's of interest. Kilauea volcano currently not erupting. The Kilauea summit is exhibiting some signs of elevated unrest, so it doesn't look like anything has kicked back up yet. Just an earthquake swarm. But of course, the earthquake swarm could be a sign of magma movement. Most likely it is. Let's go ahead and check out some tilt meters out here and see what we got here for the Big Island. Let me check out the seismograph station here real quick, see what we got as far as earthquake activity. Definitely has ramped up here. It looks like in the last 10 hours or so, starting to see those earthquakes come and go much more quicker than they had been the past, I'd say, 2 days of quietness, maybe 3 days. But things starting to stir back up out here. I'm not really seeing any magma movement far as the general harmonic type tremor, a long duration signature on the graph right now, at least far as that station goes. The tilt meters, I'm sure they're probably, let's see here, probably offline again. I did contact someone about it, but I don't know. You know, it just doesn't seem like people want to work on it. Okay, here's the last couple days. We did have, check this out, So here's the quiet spell, that lack of earthquake activity. Remember I told you a couple days there of no, or at least very minimal earthquake activity? This is deflation. Now, with earthquake activity ramping up, starting to take off the charts here. So that's obviously some magma movement underground, providing some extra inflation here. So we'll continue to watch that. But yeah, it's pretty interesting to see a little decline during the time of lack of seismic activity. So obviously, we got something brewing underneath the Kilauea volcano. When it will erupt is, well, if it keeps up here, it could be very soon. 33 earthquakes here in the last couple hours around the Kilauea volcano. And some activity across the Pahala region as well. Mauna Loa looks pretty quiet for now. All right, California here. Back to California. Goodness, deja vu. Out here across the Ventura area. 37 earthquakes in the last 24 hours, but if we bring back the last 7 days of earthquakes here, including the 5.1 from yesterday, and previous earthquakes, we got a total tally of almost 150 earthquakes here. We'll check out the largest magnitudes. Of course, that's going to be the 5.1. We did see some threes kicking off there. Quite a few threes and some upper threes following this movement. But again, a lot of this earthquake activity was prior to the 5.1. It's not like they had a 5.1 and we've seen all this activity. So we've seen a lot of movement prior and after this 5.1 earthquake. So we're just kind of continuing to monitor this, seeing how it plays out. It is off on a couple different fault systems. Now, someone mentioned me and emailed me earlier that this could be taking place around some oil fields. And no doubt there is some oil fields out here, the Ventura oil field, and I guess some other ones as well nearby. Now, here's the Ventura oil field. Look at this. You see these patterns out here? These are all areas where they go to and have these little oil pumping operations. It's scattered about this mountain range here. And I guess there's some over here as well. I really didn't see it last night, but it looks like there is some within this area. Now, a lot of these oil pumping operations are around these thrust faults. They got them further down Southern California as well, so it would make sense to tap into some oil within these within these zones. There's some oil tanks out there very close to the seismic swarm. Looking at the depth of these earthquakes, though, whether this is related to oil pumping operations or not, looking at the depth of these earthquakes, I see a few out there getting deeper. We're talking about 11 kilometers deep, 15 kilometers deep, and these are a little bit deeper than your typical oil pumping operations out there. But I don't know if I'd be going around poking around here a fault system, because there is many different faults out here. I mean, yes, there is oil fields out here and oil pumping operations, but there are many different faults out here that are long overdue for some large earthquakes. So, whether this is pumping operation induced or just stress out here in this fault system, I don't know, it's 50-50. I don't know what's all active out there as far as the oil pumping operations specifically at this area, but there is some. Again, I don't know, how often they utilize these pumps out here, but it's kind of a little scary scenario there, messing around with some faults that are well overdue. And again, we checked this out last night. Very capable of producing a 7.3 across this fault system. So we'll continue to watch that around Sulphur Mountain area. It's still continuing. Again, within the last 24 hours, 37 earthquakes. Seen a couple pop up on the chart earlier. There's a little bit of movement there at Yellowstone. Right now, the Parkfield area showing not a whole lot of activity. But keep this in mind, okay? Definitely watch that area. So all this rainfall, have we seen any increased activity across the San Andreas Fault? Doesn't look like it for now. But I would still watch this here over the coming days. I'm going to keep the earthquake watch up for now, just due to the continual movement down here in that little earthquake swarm, or big earthquake swarm. There's that 2.2 San Joaquin, California area. Very shallow movement. Up north, not too much going on. We got one earthquake up here, 18 kilometers deep. That's associated with the Cascadia megathrust area. 2.3 earlier this afternoon. Nothing going on up here in the north. Let me double check the tremor map here. See what we have. Zip, zero, nada. Nothing going on, folks, as far as tremor activity. At least that's what's being reported here from the pnsn.org tremor map. Okay, Yellowstone National Park. Let's see here. I'm not really seeing anything showing up here across the earthquake map, but let's double check. We did have some wind events going on earlier. I was looking at this, and all this here is not earthquake activity, folks. This is earthquake activity down here at Lake Butte. See this? But I want to kind of want to point out here what this is, what we're seeing across Maple Creek, and it did show up across other stations here, and that is strictly wind. I seen that. This is some of the remnants from the now departed Hillary. What was left of Tropical Storm Hillary. Let's go to the wind here. I don't think we have a whole lot of it right now, but this was lighting up with a whole bunch of different colors earlier. There's still some wind kicking up there, but nothing like it was earlier this afternoon when we were seeing, where'd all the maps go, stuff like this going on. So wind can do that, storms can do it, thunderstorms can do it, but a lot of times the wind does. And you know, earthquake activity, we're gonna see it. It's gonna stick out very nicely. But wind right here, all wind events. It's not magma movement. If I had seen something like this, okay, and there was no weather, no wind at all going on, then I may consider what's going on here. I'd look at some different sources to figure out maybe if that's underground movement or whatnot. But this is all wind related. It's calmed down slightly. But earthquake activity, we've seen a couple over here around the borehole and the Lake Butte area of Yellowstone within the last couple hours. And I think we've seen those showing up here across the seismograph station. At least one of them there. That's a pretty good spike across the Lake Yellowstone area. See that little spike here and a couple other ones. So looks like some type of earthquake activity stirring up there in the microquake department across Lake Yellowstone area, Lake Butte, the promontory, borehole area. All seeing a little bit of small earthquake activity. But again, this here, wind events, I don't know, maybe they had some rain and thunder as well, but definitely had some big time wind keying up here earlier. All right, let's go back here to the USGS map. See if we got anything out of place here. There's some movement there on the New Madrid seismic zone from late last night. It's about ready to drop off the globe here. We haven't seen anything else throughout the day today there. Oklahoma and Texas seeing a little scattered activity out there across the oil fields. And let's see here what else we got. Goodness, we got this area just lighting up out here. Had that 4.6, and now we got the Kermadec Trench moving. What's in the way? What's in the middle out here across this plate boundary? Good old New Zealand. Heads up. That's all I can say. This actually a 4.6 right here, pretty deep, 356 kilometers deep. This oddball earthquake out here away from New Zealand, 4.6, 10 kilometers deep. You know, defaulted there, so a very shallow earthquake. But I would keep a close eye here on New Zealand with this type of setup. They've been having earthquake activity, right? But nothing. You know, there's probably quite a bit of strain out here across this plate boundary. So just heads up, watch that region for some potential larger scale movement here soon. Quite a few fours across the Indonesia area and the Philippines region as well. And that, you know, it's very typical out here. Quite a big cluster of movement. A little bit of activity across the Japan Trench. Looks like some 3 stirring up there. Not really seeing anything across the USGS map, but one earthquake there from last night. 4.6 into the curl, you know, about the Japan Trench area, it looks like. Myanmar region seeing a 4.5 earlier this morning, and eastern Afghanistan some activity as well. Let's see what else we got across the globe here. Some movement around Turkey. It looks like a 4.1 coming in. Notice not a lot of smaller quakes here recently. It's been quiet for a little bit. Now we're getting some larger movement taking place here. Around the Turkey area. 4.3, 8 o'clock this morning, it looks like. 8:45. Was that same earthquake or a different one? This one's pretty recent. This was tonight. So this is some of the other earthquake activity. But there's definitely some movement going on up here on the moderate side as far as earthquake activity goes. Continue to watch that area. Atlantic Ocean, 4.7 way down south. Aside from that, goodness, you know, we still got California we're watching. Trying to get some shifting going on here across this plate boundary, it looks like. So just, you know, be on guard. We got some movement around the Melbourne area and in between this area and New Zealand. So, you know, watch this plate boundary. It's common. I think that's kind of common sense right here. We see a whole bunch of movement away from the plate boundary. Stress building up north of it as well. That's, you know, X marks the spot there, I hate to say. So just be on guard across New Zealand area. There's a little earthquake down south here across the San Jacinto Mountains. But not a whole lot of, you know, movement as far as the potential with all that rainfall on it yet. But we'll continue to watch it. I know Southern California did see quite a bit of rainfall. All right, let's see what else we got, man. Space weather? Anything going on here? Nothing? Hello? All right, things look pretty quiet out here, folks. 95% chance for a C flare. M flare at 15, X flare around 1% or less, probably. 3413 is one of our newer sunspots coming around the bend. Kind of looks like it is getting a better core associated with it here. We'll continue to watch that, maybe for some development and some complex structure. Far side sunspot, just barely getting a glimpse of it over here. We'll keep an eye on as well, but for the most part, all these sunspots here are dead and dying. There's not a whole lot of complexity there in that sunspot, any of those sunspots. All right, let's see. Anything major going on as far as the auroras go? Doesn't look like it. A little bit, though, slightly. Not really seeing anything major across the board as far as the forecast goes. As far as Storm Prediction Center goes, we got just some general thunderstorm activity out here over the next few days. Let's go ahead and check out the numerical models. We do have what is that? Is that tropical storm or tropical depression down here? I can't remember the name. Let's check it out here. National Hurricane Center real quick. See what's going on. Well, that's 9. Tropical Depression 9. See what the latest information states here. As of right now, it looks like got some rainy conditions coming in there to southern Texas, parts of Mexico as well. Tropical Depression 9. I don't know if it's going to strengthen or not. Let's see what we got for the cone out here. Looks like it could turn into tropical storm. Oh, what is the name of this? I can't remember exactly. I guess we'll find out tomorrow, but it looks like it could kick up into a tropical storm. Right now it's a depression. Winds 35 miles per hour, sustained movement to the west-northwest, 18 miles an hour. I was wanting to think this is Arthur or something. I can't remember. If anyone does, they can definitely bring it up here in the chat. But yeah, a little bit of rainfall coming in there to the South Texas area. Not a whole lot. Nothing like what Southern California's seen. But there is definitely some potential for some rain across the Brownsville, Corpus Christi area. So heads up on that. Let's check out the other map here. See what else is going on here in the Gulf of Mexico. Watch down at the bottom of this image here. It doesn't have a lot of time to develop, so if that had formed over here and increased over the warmer water, then we'd be talking about potentially a major hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. But it doesn't look like it's going to have much time. Far as the rest of the map goes, look at that baby out in the Atlantic. Goodness. But it looks like for now that's going to dodge the East Coast. And I'm just putting this thing into motion, seeing what we have. I don't see anything coming up for now, but again, that's a ways out into the almost the second week of September. A little bit of scattered rain out here today. Actually, we picked up, oh man, about a quarter of an inch of rain here in Northern California, which is very rare for August. It's quite enjoyable. Very nice. I think we only hit about 75 degrees today. Tomorrow, different story. Back to the heat. All right, guys, I am going to I'm going to jump off here. Keep an eye on things. Again, I do have New Zealand up here on the chart. One of these stations right here. I think we'll definitely watch this area overnight for some movement. Just kind of, you know, right along the plate boundary here. A little bit of activity. Well, basically off the plate boundary. 4.6. Again, I don't know where that 5.3 is coming from. I don't know if that's that is the EMSC doing that. It's really weird. They post up earthquake activity to the globe, or their catalog book, so to speak, and then when they revise it, they don't take the previous one down. So either way, it almost looks like there was two earthquakes here. 05, 06. Literally within about a minute of each other. USGS only reporting one. Either way, I think there was two on there. We looked at the GeoNet servers, and there was a signature of what looks like maybe two earthquakes potentially. You can see it on this one right here. Boom, boom. There's two spikes. So either way, stay safe out there around New Zealand. And we'll be back here tomorrow sometime. And my brain's just on a little bit of an overload because my first day of the fall semester here at the college where I'm at. Kind of got my brain a little bit worn down tonight. So anyway, have a good night, folks. We'll catch you guys back here sometime tomorrow. Have a good one.